if you are planning on starting your own rabbitry, then breeding is going to be a large part of your rabbitry, and knowing all of the details around breeding and how to actually have a successful breeding is going to be vital in the success of your rabbitry. So today we are talking about everything that you need to know to help breed your rabbits. I'm Danielle of the Split Arrow Farm, and welcome to our channel where we bring you new content every week on how to live a more self-sustainable life with starting your own homestead or small farm. I am so glad to have you along for the journey, and definitely subscribe because we are pushing out so much new content in the new year around starting rabbitry and just getting way more in the weeds on everything to really becoming super successful in being self-sustainable. But without further ado, let's get started. The first thing to think about when breeding your rabbits is when can you actually get started and when in the year can you be breeding your rabbits. Now, unlike humans, rabbits do not just ovulate all year long. They actually are really dependent on the actual process of mating, which can actually trigger them to start ovulating, and they are self-ovulators. So really, any time of the year is going to be an optimal time that you can be breeding. But there is a caveat to that. We have found that in the really high heats of summer or in the harsh colds of winter, so really the 2 degrees of super cold and super hot, we're going to find it's a little bit harder to get the rabbits into it, and it also can just cause them to either get like fatigued because of the heat or cause some fatalities because it is too cold for them to keep their kits. In regards to age, you can start breeding your rabbits at 6 months of age, and you really don't want to be breeding anytime before that because you can cause long-term complications or complications with that specific birthing. So I really suggest waiting the 6 months. It usually isn't going to take too long, and you're going to notice that within your first time breeding, the does are probably going to know nothing about it, and the bucks are probably going to know nothing about it, and it might take a few attempts that first time when they're first getting the hang of everything, but don't worry, they'll get the hang of it very soon. Next up is going to be selecting your breeding pair. So the first thing that you're going to want to think about is what is your end goal for breeding rabbits. At our farm, the purpose here is for meat of the rabbits. So we actually have New Zealand and Californian rabbits, and we will either breed them with the same type of breed or we will cross breed them. So we have 2 does and 2 bucks, one of each breed. And if you are looking for meat rabbits, you can also have a silver fox, which is great. And there's other various types. If you go into the good old Google, they have a lot of different types of rabbits that are great at meat. But we really love our New Zealand and Californian rabbits, and they grow out really quickly. If you are looking for fur, then you might want something like an Angora. And then if you're looking primarily for a pet, then there are abundant more types of rabbits. And maybe you want a Rex or a Dutch or anything of the likes that's going to be the best for a pet. But knowing that first is going to be key. And then when you are actually breeding your rabbits, it's important that you want to take rabbits that are similar in size. So you don't want to be breeding a really small doe and a very large buck because it could hurt one another. And then you also can start to think about inline breeding. So in rabbits, you can actually breed the children with their parents. So you can breed the buck child with their doe mom or vice versa, but you don't want to be breeding any of the siblings with each other, so only in line with their parent and the child. And then what will cause this, or why people do this, is because if breeding in line, then you can usually have selective traits that you want to keep within the family, but this can also heighten that if you have bad traits, those will stay within the family as well. So really think about the traits of your rabbits that you like. Maybe if you have a very large rabbit and you want to keep that in the family, then you would breed for that again, but maybe if there's some bad qualities, you wouldn't want to breed for those. So something to think about as you're breeding is the pair of rabbits that you're choosing to breed for. Now, the last and most important, and probably why you're actually watching this video today, is the actual breeding process. So when you are breeding your rabbits, what you're going to want to do is actually bring the doe into the buck's cage. And this is because females can be really territorial of their space. And when you bring them over into the buck, you're actually going to want to clear out anything that's in the cage. If they have a wire bottom, you might want to put just a flat floor on there, or if they're in a colony setting, then you really don't have to worry too much. But this is so that they have enough space and they don't kind of knock things around. Now, as I said in the beginning, the first time that you do breed your rabbits, it can be really weird. It could take a really long time. No one knows what's going on. But as you start to do it more and more, they're going to learn exactly what's going on and where they should be going, what they should be doing. And with that, what we usually do is once you put the doe in the cage, they might hop around, smell some things, go in a few circles, and then they will start to breed. If you're realizing that the doe is really unhappy, I would definitely take her out of the cage. You don't want anyone to hurt each other, but if they're fine with each other, then sometimes we'll actually just let them go for a little bit, kind of take a lap around the barn, feed everyone else, water everyone else, and then come back. But it is really nice to actually see the fall of a male. So when the breed is actually successful, they will fall off of the female. It will be quite rapid and they might or may not make a sound. And we like to make sure that we have at least 2 to 3 seen falls before we have a solid yes, they definitely bred. And sometimes they'll be in the cage for a while and they'll kind of just like go their own sides, get really tired, especially if they haven't done this in a while or it's hotter out. The buck might just want to relax a little bit after 1 or 2 falls. And so then we'll come in the next morning. So if we do like a night breeding, we'll come in the next morning, or if we do a morning breeding, we'll come in later in the night and then retry the breeding, just so that we have a really successful amount of falls before we actually call it a go. Now, what is really important is if you are breeding rabbits and you think about halfway through, so it takes around 30 days for any female to actually give birth. That's the gestation period. But if you think during that period, maybe she's not pregnant, and I have a video which I'll link down below of signs to tell whether your rabbit truly is pregnant or not, but you think she isn't and you try to rebreed her, this can be bad because you can cause actually 2 litters to form inside of her stomach, and there could definitely be complications there. So I would make sure that you really wait those 30 days and you have a clear yes or no, because you don't always know that your rabbit is pregnant. But that's it for today. Really just some tips and tricks for breeding your rabbits. And if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, because we have so many more videos on rabbits coming out. And we have a whole playlist that I'll add right here that you can come and grab in your own videos to watch next. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you guys again next time. Bye.